Now that was a fun hockey game. Avs win over the Philadelphia Flyers 5-4 in the skills competition. It was a very back and forth game all night long. Both teams were moving up and down the ice very well, and then 4.5 minutes in, the Avs draw the first power play of the game. The Avs don't manage to score on that power play, but you remember in last video how I said it's nice that the Avs haven't hit very many posts this season? Yeah, about that. Post number 5 right here, and it would only get worse from there. The Avs do get a short spurt of momentum off of that power play, though, having a good possession for the next 5 or so minutes until they take a penalty of their own. And there would be a lot of penalties tonight, and all of the kills for the Avalanche would be quite an adventure. But this one they do manage to kill, so we'll talk about that a little bit later. After the halfway mark, things did slow down for a little bit. It was probably the slowest section of the game, with both teams getting caught up in the neutral zone quite a bit. But eventually, Philly did find their footing and started putting on some pressure of their own. But Varley was looking strong in net, including killing a second power play, mostly thanks to Varley. And then late in the period, Philly ends up taking their second penalty of the game. And we're finding out that you don't want to take penalties late against the Avs. With less than 8 seconds to go in the period, the Avs want to face off back to Landeskog at the point. He's just going to go across to Barrie for the one-timer. But keep your eye on McKinnon here, as he's going to show off why he was a first overall pick. Barrie's going to do a good job getting the shot on net. The rebound's going to come out, and some sick plays from McKinnon to feed Duchesne for the open net. Whatever McKinnon's been doing for the past 3 games, it has been working flawlessly. He has just been killing it out there, and this is the guy we wanted when we drafted him first overall. If he can keep this up all season, he's going to start moving into that elite category talk. When it's 0-0 with less than 10 seconds to go and you end up with a 1-goal lead in the intermission, you're always pretty happy. To start off the second, the Flyers lived up to their name. They were absolutely flying all over the ice, and it took just over a minute for them to find the equalizer. The play is going to start to go wrong when Landeskog and Barrie lose a puck down in the corner. Simmons is going to sweep in and take it behind the net and carry it to the near corner where he'll drop it off for Konechny. At the same time, you have Barrie and Nemeth both moving over to this part of the ice. They're not going to communicate, and both of them are going to end up floating into no man's land where they're not covering any of the players, nor are they covering the passing lane. And at the same time, Landeskog is going to lose track of his man on the far side of the net. That leaves an open passing lane to the open man right in front of the crease. Nothing Varley could do about this one, as it's left to just be a tap-in for Filppula. Problems in front of their own net is going to be a recurring theme here for the Avs. That goal only seems to energize the Flyers even more, and we start seeing some of the weak play we are seeing in the Carolina game of the Avs struggling to clear pucks and starting to play in a panic mode. Eventually, that panic would lead to the Avs taking another penalty, and the Philadelphia power play is simply too strong to be shut out all night long. Como ended up losing his stick as the Flyers were passing it at will around the Avalanche. That leaves Gostisbehere wide open at the point for a one-timer. He does a good job to get it on net low off of Varley's pads. The puck ricochets off hard. Como and Soderberg neither are ready for it. They get beat to the puck, and the Flyers are up. That was a bit of a tough situation. It was a big rebound. Como had lost his stick, and Soderberg had gone down to attempt to block the shot, but you would still like to see the Avs forwards on the PK be ready and moving their feet to get to the puck. So with the Flyers now in the lead, the Avs would start to push back, but for the first half of this game at least, luck was not on their sides. Avs would register 2 more posts, put the number up to 7, quickly making up for the lack of them they had in the first 12 games. Beyond the posts, the Avs would seemingly shoot themselves in the foot by taking another offensive zone penalty in this one, and given how lethal Philadelphia's power play has looked, you were not feeling very good, but as it turns out, all those posts were building up a little bit of karma for us. With time on Philadelphia's power play winding down, Nemeth is going to do a good job to get his stick on the puck in the corner here. And as you do on the power play for Philadelphia, you get 4 players deep in the zone. The ricochet off Nemeth's stick luckily comes right to McKinnon, and it's a 2-on-1 up the ice with him and Blake Como. McKinnon's going to give it to Como as he's wide open on the side, and Como gets a little love from a skate to go top shelf. Nothing like a shorty to turn things right back around, and man, Como must be feeding off of whatever McKinnon has been having as well. He's had a great bunch of games recently too. What separates the wheat from the chaff in the NHL is depth, particularly depth scoring. And so far this season, the Avs have had it. So now the Avs are feeling it a bit. Immediately after that penalty expires, Philadelphia takes one, and it was the Avs' turn to capitalize again on the power play. 3 posts sure seems to get you a lot of good karma. The Avs are just going to play some pitch and catch up and down the far boards here. A nice play is going to set up Rantanen, who's going to try to do a centering pass through the crease. He gets a little bit of a love from the Flyers defenseman off his stick and right it into the net. There are some things you just can't explain. Last year we hit 3 posts in a game and then get no good bounces at all. This year we hit 3 posts in a game and then immediately get the turnaround with a puck going in off a skate and then a puck going in off a defender's stick. I'm not going to complain. The Avs would take that 3-2 lead into the second intermission, but this game was just getting started. The third period would start with both teams going chance for chance up and down the ice once again. Unfortunately, the Avs started to struggle in their own zone quite a bit, and a lot of sloppiness would lead to the Flyers getting another evening goal. Avs start by getting caught with all 5 of their players down below the hash marks, while Philly only has 2.5. The puck ends up going up towards the point, and the Philly defender has a day and a half to set up a shot. It bounces around in front. With 2 players charging out to meet the point, the Avs still have the man advantage, 3-2 down low. However, none of the 3 can get to the puck, and it ends up just trickling past Varley and in. The Avs have to get better at their positioning for rebounds in the defensive zone. At minimum, you need to be in reach of the man you're playing for the rebound against to tie up his stick, but preferably you would be in a better position to box him out so only you can get to that rebound, and then you have possession going the other way. And that goal would open the floodgates for some absolutely wild hockey. Just a little bit over a minute later, the Avs would strike back. Great work by Duchesne on the forecheck here. He's relentless all the way up the near boards to finally force a turnover. That creates a play where he and Yakupov are both in behind the Flyers' defense. He shifts off to Yakupov, and Yakupov snipes one 5-hole. A bit of a weird game for Yak. He was playing with a lot of intensity and physicality, which I'm sure Bednar liked, but he played a little bit too crazy at times and took some not so smart penalties, which did end up costing the Avs a little bit, but at the same time, he also drew a penalty early in the game, and adding this goal on is a really nice plus for him. He needs to score goals to stay relevant, and that pretty much makes up for the mistakes he had in my mind. Another goal, another swing of momentum. Exactly a minute later, the Flyers would even the game. Flyers have the puck at about the hash marks here. They're just going to send it in behind the Avalanche net. Nemeth is going to be the defenseman who goes in behind to challenge the puck carrier and force him out to the far side. That leaves Barry as the net front defender. Weiss passes it off, and he's going to be the man cutting to the net. And it's a fine line here for Barry. He does have to keep an eye on where that puck is going if he tries for a wrap around out to the far side, but he also is going to need to pick up Weiss as he's coming in towards the crease. He doesn't do a good enough job sticking close to Weiss, so when Wheel comes out to the far side and makes the pass, Barry goes for the stick lift but isn't in range, and Weiss bangs it home. With the own goal from last game and now the struggles in front of the net tonight, it's clear Barry isn't being very successfully used in the defensive zone right in front of his own net like that. I would love to see Nemeth and Barry figure that one out a bit and see if they can't figure a situation where Barry can be the man chasing more often and Nemeth can stay at home being the better defensive D-man. Obviously, I make that a lot simpler than it actually is. There are some cases where Nemeth has to be the guy that challenges and Barry just needs to be a little bit better in front of his own net. Now with the tie game, the Flyers would push hard, Varley playing well in net, and the defense, while not pretty, doing just enough, including killing another power play. Then in the last quarter of the period, the Avs would push back and get some good chances themselves. But ultimately, neither team could score in regulation, and we would head to OT. Now, I highly recommend you go and watch the full OT yourself. I'll put a link to it down below. You have to check it out. 3-on-3 OT is some of the funnest hockey I've ever watched, and I can't do it justice. But suffice to say, the entire OT was basically the Varlamov show. He was just absolutely a brick wall in net, bailing the Avs out at least half a dozen times, and it was fun to watch vintage Varley. And at the end of OT, it's still a 4-4 tie. And I gotta beg the question here. What's wrong with a tie? The Flyers couldn't manage to beat Varley to win the game, nor could the Avs manage to generate enough offense to get the 5th goal. I just don't see anything wrong with having ties in the regular season, and I think playing a game and then moving on to a shootout to decide the winner just doesn't feel right, and it kind of kills some of the excitement of the win for me. And yeah, I'm happy that we won and Rantanen put on a great move in the shootout, but watching OT and that flying up and down the ice hockey as it keeps flowing, it gives you that special feeling, that nervousness, that excitement. It's building and it feels fun to watch. Then you have the shootout. Shooter goes, they stop, reset, bring another shooter out. He goes, they stop, reset, repeat. It just doesn't seem to build quite as evenly. I don't know, maybe I'm old school, but I just like ties better than deciding a game with a shootout. But the NHL feels differently, so hey, we'll take the 2 points. Duchesne, Barry, and McKinnon all with 2 points tonight, and Como and Yakupov with the depth scoring. This is the potent offense that we've been hoping for the Avs. This makes for fun hockey. On the defensive side of the ice, it's not quite as fun though, particularly on the power play tonight. The Avs were simply chasing the puck way too much, and a good passing team, particularly Philadelphia's first power play unit, just completely picked us apart, abused the passing lanes we were leaving wide open. From the circles in, Philadelphia pretty much passed cross ice at will. They need to tighten that up quite a bit. And part of that is us losing a Comfer. That hurts our penalty kill and defensive zone play quite a bit. Obviously, he was playing in that shutdown role next to Landeskog when he was healthy, and his quality positioning play does a lot to stop those types of seam passes. This is the first game in a long time where I really started to feel that high level of excitement for this team. That nervousness where I want to see the end of the game. I want it to go into overtime. It's not that feeling of dread that we had all of last year. Even if we didn't end up winning the game, it was hockey that I wanted to watch. That is the end of this game video review. Thank you for watching. Big shout outs to Broad Street Hockey and at Hinks on Twitter. They had me on for a little bit of a preview video over there on the Flyers side of coverage, and I had a blast. So shout out to them. Definitely check them out if you want to see anything about the Flyers and how they're doing. I'm Rudo3, and that was a fun one.